Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. We got some afterthoughts on episode 3 of Ahsoka.
Heck yeah.
Well, it's at the moment just Schmoog and I. My friend Nick at Night, I believe, on TikTok and Instagram, shall be here soon. But yeah, we're here. We're talking Ahsoka. What'd you think about the episode? I guess just generally.
Okay, so ultimately, I can see it as an episode that if the whole series is out and I'm doing a rewatch, I'm like, okay, this is a very giving episode. It's good from a visual standpoint, from what it builds up, yes. But again, when I think the big problem that a lot of people are going to have is that it's short and we now have to wait a whole another week, where last week we had basically a film for Ahsoka come out where we had like an hour, 40 minutes, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
great.
So like now we have a 30-minute episode, and it's like, okay, this just came and went. You blink and you'll miss it. But I mean, it had some cool stuff in there, so I guess we can get into it.
Yeah. Sci-Fi Quest, howdy. Welcome. I'm with you. I thought it was slow to start off, decently paced by the end, but it kind of hurts when your first 15 minutes. Wow, what an episode! Wish it was 40 plus minutes though. Totally.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna be in agreement with that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Like everything in the episode that happened was really important. Like little bit by little bit, like all of it was important. I guess we should probably change this banner to a spoilers one so we can talk whatever we feel like right now.
Good call.
But no, I thought it was a good episode overall. Started off slow, ended decently paced. It shouldn't have started off as slow as it did for being a 31-minute episode, 32-minute episode, I guess, totally.
Right.
But it still worked. I part of me, I think, thinks that because I just love Star Wars so much and I love the Rebel Screw so much. If I wasn't normie, quote unquote, watching it, what would I have thought? What would you have thought?
A normie?
Uh-huh.
I'm probably bored, if I'm being honest.
For 30 minutes, like...
Yeah, like, again, it was quick. Like, it had some cool stuff. Like, the space battle stuff is always cool. That's some of my favorite stuff in Star Wars. I, like, again, had one, like, honestly, something I never thought I would see in Star Wars, where you see Ahsoka out in space with her lightsabers out, which is pretty dope. I was
she got in that suit a little too quick, though.
I agree. But it was something that I was thinking about. I'm like, I don't think we've ever seen this. I don't think we've seen someone really out in space like that. I don't believe we've seen a spacesuit in anything. Maybe I'm blanking. Maybe it's in Clone Wars or Rebels at some point, but definitely not in the movies.
Clone Wars, maybe.
Again, it's been a while since I watched that whole series all the way through, so I'm blanking if we've seen it. But I'm like, oh, okay, cool sequence, of course. You know, with the anti-gravity, like flipping around, slicing up another spaceship. Like, I thought that was a dope sequence. But I mean, that's what this episode kind of was. It was really cool moments. But again, it was just quick. I don't think a lot truly happened, but you know, I loved from the beginning of this episode. I'm like, okay, I'm a fan because I liked seeing the Sabine training. I thought that was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ahsoka's obviously just smug as hell, but she's honestly a really good teacher. You know, it's like, don't give in to your hate because you lose your balance, and it's like stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, badass. That's like something like a Yoda would have said. You know,
that's true. I like that you just said that though, because Sci-Fi just put this in here. The Sabine training was an issue for me though. The training should adapt to Sabine. Ahsoka is training Sabine wrong. I think both of y'all are right. I think Ahsoka is training Sabine wrong, and she should adapt to Sabine because she's telling Sabine to adapt to her environment. Ahsoka should probably adapt to the environment that she's created for this child as well. Padawan, whatever you want to call her. But at the same time, I still think Ahsoka's a pretty damn good teacher generally.
Agreed. Yeah, generally a good teacher, yes. I mean, of course, she had one of the most powerful Jedi of all time train her, and also be around some of the other most powerful Jedi of all time.
You know.
But ultimately, sci-fi is correct. I mean,
Yeah.
like as a teacher-student relationship, you have to adapt to their weaknesses to try to build up their strengths. So by just like it's like basically she's going kind of fight or flight with it, or fight or flight. Where it's like, let's say you want to teach a kid to swim, are you going to start off in the shallow end and try to teach them some basic techniques, or are you going to throw them into the deep end? I think she's kind of throwing her into the deep end. So
my counter thought to that is, does she have much of an option in a certain way?
I mean, probably not, because if their theories are correct, the shit's gonna hit the fan relatively soon. So Sabine has to get to it. Her being able to harness the power of the Force will definitely help them in the near future. So let's hope she can get to that soon. But again, I think a lot of Star Wars fans just aren't going to be a fan of how they're kind of just going to turn her into this Force-sensitive character where she's never been that. But that's obviously on the horizon.
Yeah, I can see that, but also I don't mind it 100%.
I don't mind it. I mean, I like Sabine as a character. It's cool that she's a Mandalorian. Apparently, she has the blood of whichever Vizsla it is, the Mandalorian that was a Jedi who made the Darksaber. So she's related to him. So I mean, obviously, it's in her bloodline. So
yeah, Ahsoka is Sabine's master now. Has been before and is again. We have never seen it technically before, which is a little bit jarring, I guess, for some people that like when this is a whole new aspect of this relationship that a bunch of people that have been very thorough in all of their watching up till now have never seen before. So it's kind of like,
right.
But it's being handled decently well. It's kind of a little bit slowly and mundanely, I guess, for your average viewer. But as people, I think, that love Rebels and love the shows that they've done so far, we're a little more light with our criticisms because we're enjoying watching the characters.
Well, that's the main thing. Like, I can't go into the show being like completely blind, putting myself into the shoes of those who haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels. You know, it's weird because like I've grown up with these characters, or like have watched
so
them
near and dear.
Yeah, just watch them go through their whole journey thus far through animation, and now seeing them in live action. It's cool to us, but in terms of like someone coming in and watching this, is like, how caught up to speed are they with everything? You know, like talking about Thrawn, talking about Ezra. How much of that have they filled? Like, or is this? I don't think this is going to be catered to like a general audience. It's definitely, or catered to a general audience. It's definitely catered to hardcore Filoni universe fans, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will be something that the hardcore audiences will be able to get probably by the end of it. And then if they rewatch the show, they'll love it almost as much as people that, you know, have come into it with the thought process that we have. But it might take a little time, I'm guessing, I guess.
Again, it's only 3 episodes in, but I don't know. So far,
3 episodes of 7. That's another thing. 3 of 7.
3 of 7. There's only 4 more.
We're technically halfway through, if you want to think about it like that. Or maybe next week we're halfway through.
Next week we're over halfway.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know. I mean, I think it'll definitely appeal to a grand audience. Maybe like whoever Merrick is, or of course, whenever we see Anakin, I think that'll play, like, whenever we see Hayden, that'll play a big factor into people being like, okay, sick, the show's badass, you know? And so far, like, the story's good to them. Like, they don't know these characters, but they're doing a good job with these characters. Like, I think they're all pretty likable. I don't
even
think
the villains.
I don't think Hera's has gotten a ton of screen time. Honestly, to me, the only person who's gotten, like, the mass majority of screen time is Sabine. Ahsoka's had a decent amount of screen time, but I don't know, like, if you haven't seen The Mandalorian and you're watching this character of Ahsoka, let's say, and like let's say you grew up watching Clone Wars, you're like, okay, sick, we get to see Ahsoka in live action. I don't know how likable she is compared to those who grew up watching the Clone Wars, where I think she's one of the most beloved characters. Where this show isn't, like, I think she's cool in the show. I'm just not getting that wow factor from Ahsoka yet. You know, where she is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, I'm not loving her yet.
Yeah.
She's definitely cool moments and, like, you know, good teacher moments as well. But overall, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just not digging Rosario Dawson, maybe. Even though I love Rosario Dawson. I think she looks great.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I think she seems like she, in this episode, starting to, like, vibe with her more. Because, like, she seemed to be having fun. Like, when she's in that spacesuit, like, she's like, all right, now next, save me from here, or out from outer space, right? Like, bring me back into the ship. I thought that was fun. I don't remember the exact line she said, but I'm like, okay, we're starting to get this more playful Ahsoka, where it's kind of seemed like she's had a bit of a stick up her ass in this show. I'm just saying. But I mean, again, it's an older Ahsoka, but I mean, and she's been through hell and back. I'm not going to say she hasn't.
Which would make her a bit more cautious, but at the same time, it just doesn't necessarily feel like the character we know and love.
But to be fair, I'm not.
See.
Yeah, and I'm not one to necessarily talk because, I mean, Dave Filoni did create this character. So I trust the process when it comes to Filoni. I'm just saying how I feel thus far, where I'm not absolutely digging her. Where, like, in Book of Boba Fett, like, when she's talking to Luke Skywalker, I'm like, okay, I'm all in. Or, like, the first episode we see her in The Mandalorian Season 2, where I'm like, okay, she's badass. Like, she's having, like, awesome, like, when she's fighting the Mandalorian, sick. Her talking to Grogu, sick. I just don't know if I'm really digging it so far. But again, once I see her, I mean, again, like, all of her action sequences, I think, have been badass. But again, I think she could. I mean, obviously the situation is more dire, and, like, okay, I have to train Sabine. We have Thrawn on the horizon, so I guess she's allowed to have a stick up her ass currently. So
I guess now, after this episode, the situation is dire. So hopefully it will do that a little bit more, because now it hasn't been dire up till now. I guess kind of with Sabine getting stabbed, but that was like, if they've healed that quickly.
Right, but now it
negated its direness. Yeah.
Right, and with this episode, we learned that they are dangerously close to be able to have a hyperdrive that can send them to a different galaxy, which is crazy. Which I guess hasn't been done unless you are a Purgle.
Yeah. So, Purgle and maybe like they use on Vong, but that's like I don't know, I doubt it, probably not, but I wish.
I'll say give that time.
Fingers crossed.
That's what I think is going to happen. Yeah. That's what I think. Ultimately, that's what I think Filoni's building up to have his version of the sequels, where, like, the sequel trilogy of films still exist, but this will be like a prequel sequel trilogy, you know, where I can see it as, like, they're using Vong, they come to this galaxy we know and love, and that's why Thrawn wants to come back and build up his empire again, or the empire again, or a version of it, which will be, of course, the First Order, I believe. And they come the power to stop this big threat, which is that, where obviously under the covers, though, it involves, like, Luke and Ahsoka and others stopping them. But Thrawn's probably able to take that to their advantage and make the First Order, like, the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I kind of see this all playing out in the future. But again, Thrawn obviously sees them as a big threat, so he needs to come back into power to take them down. That's how I see Filoni, or that's where he's going towards. Because, again, we're supposed to be getting a movie for the Mandoverse, so that's where I think it's going.
Where are we going? Well, Nick, where are we going? Where are we going, my friend?
I think what's up, man? I think it's a great direction you're taking it in. If you saw the end of Mando, you did see the Purgle in space, and to see it in Ahsoka's episode 3, I just finished it. That's why I was a little late today. Just want to make sure I got all the all the juicy details. Okay, no spoilers, but
Right.
I did to talk about the episode. I like the action in space. I like people actually being out there and getting out there in space, and like Ahsoka. Oh my gosh, just and the way that it feels like they're on their own. It feels like a Anakin Ahsoka type situation where they're on a mission with no backup. I mean, if you've seen all the other Star Wars shows, it's like passing the torch. At first, it was Obi-Wan and Anakin, then it became Anakin and Ahsoka. Now it's Ahsoka and Sabine.
Yeah,
Just like it was Kanan and Ezra in the original Rebels, and now the way that this is all wrapped up, it's their story of, what the aftermath of, Kanan being gone, and you see young Jason, his boy. You get to see all these other side characters from the Rebels, and at first when I saw Ahsoka, the new element of references to Knights of the Old Republic, that was new, that I really enjoyed seeing in these past episodes. That I haven't really explored too much on it. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Don't get me wrong, guys, but Knights of the Old Republic is not my strongest suit. Everything else, though, is great. I like the references to the HKs, those droids.
The assassin droids.
Yeah, the assassin droids. I see a lot of memes about that on on social media. And like, man, the original HK design would be rolling in his grave right now because the new ones don't look anything like him. But at the same time, it's good to see like them being brought back into in a time where they're long gone.
Yeah. At least we're getting some stuff that we maybe never thought we'd get with Disney Star Wars. It's kind of nice. They're putting stuff in that we might have been asking for a while now. Everyone's saying howdy.
Howdy.
Well, now that we're all here, we've got some stuff talking. Shall we roll a little intro?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, let's do this thing. Huh? We had to change it for copyright purposes to a Western theme, and I like Western shit, so it's perfect. I'm happy.
The fact that you have your own intro is spectacular, my guy. You're ahead of the game.
Well, we got some for multiple days of the week too. We work into it, We're getting there.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, changing something is one thing, but the fact that you have this, I don't even have an intro, dude. That's cool though.
It's fun. It's nice knowing people that are good with graphics and stuff, because it goes right over my damn head.
It's a perk.
Yeah. So yeah, we finally did. You just said we saw live action Jason Syndulla,
which is big.
It's huge.
Pretty damn big.
Yeah.
Good or bad? First thoughts, I guess.
Man, see him for a second.
It was so short. Did he look like the live action version of the character you thought he would look like?
I mean,
compared to the original, no. If you look at him, and I mean, we're talking from live action to reverse from the anime to live action. Ahsoka doesn't look the same, but who cares? We all love the show, but I just like the significance of having him in there for a couple seconds. Reference to Kanan, and I feel like
that he's hanging out with Chopper.
Yeah, in that moment, you see like his relationship with everyone, and I think Hera sees a lot of Kanan, Caleb. I go back and forth saying his name, but
both are correct.
In that moment, she's like, I feel like if she had said this, it would have been perfect. I'm like, if you're anything like your father, you're going to be a great Jedi or something like that.
Yeah.
Just like a reference to Kanan, but I mean, his existence is that reference. I like it.
But I will say, I think this is definitely going to set up whenever Ezra's back, it's going to be, again, like you said earlier, the passing of the torch type of situation. Yeah. Kanan training Ezra to Ezra training Jason.
That would be a great story, but you know Disney, they like to give us the craziest out-of-pocket twists.
Yeah, they could kill Jason next episode, all we know.
Reva's going to come and train Jason.
They're gonna listen to that. They're going to be like, you know what? That's a great idea, man.
Oh, plot twist, right?
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I liked the little moment for him. I like that he's hanging out with Chopper. I do wish he kind of looked a little more like he was half Twi'lek. But that would be like if I wanted to find it right.
Like a more hybrid mutant baby kind of situation. Like, I mean, in the show, in the TV show, the cartoon, it looked a little more half and half, you know. But I feel like we're in the live action phase. I feel like you could have done a little more about his skin tone. Maybe, you know, I mean, I have relatives with that skin deficiency where it's like it peels, but it never like tans the same ever again. You know what I'm talking about? I forget what the name of it is, but you could have done that with him and justified it in that sense that he's like a half and half mixed person. I don't know. That's just me.
But,
yeah, if I had to find a gripe, that's what I would gripe about. That would that's looking for one. Yeah.
But they wanted to make the scene.
Before that scene, I just want to say I really like that whole the hologram scene. That was a scene that seemed to me like it was taken straight from like a prequel moment. Like I think the holograms look straight out from prequels. Like just having that council there, see Mon Mothma, which is sick, and she's the chancellor of this new republic, which is cool. But I just like that whole scenario, like the one guy being like, are you serious about Thrawn, or are you just trying to get us Ezra? Because obviously you have this allegiance to him. Like, so is that like what you have in your back pocket? I don't know if I trust you to send all these forces and all this money your way, basically. So that was cool.
No, you got a good point. Yeah, that council member did rub me the wrong way, but I feel like Disney will put those like obvious things like, oh, this guy's not on board, he could be the bad guy kind of thing, but it's really this guy or this person who's always on board. You know, those kind of plot structures. But in that moment, I thought like when she said when she repeated like for the Empire was enough to get, you know, like to put them in jail or whatever. It just made me realize there's a lot of rats that didn't go down with the ship, and there's a lot of Empire people in the New Republic that you see in Andor. That's another connection I wanted to make. But you see a lot of Empire rats, and if they're yelling for the Empire, they're like, oh, they don't care. They're ready. They're like willing to sacrifice themselves. There's probably a lot more in there, and there's probably some in the council, or like
you see
with some power. Yeah,
right, and you see that in Mando season 3 as well. Like with the one episode where Moff Gideon is like back.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of people within the New Republic that are either, you know, like in the episode that came before this, just being like, oh, you know, most people just want a paycheck, right? Like they don't care about the politics. But there are those who are still allied with the Empire, and that they want it back. So that's where Thrawn's always going to come in and try to recruit all these people. And so I say it like that.
Yeah, you can kind of, I mean, not to reflect on the previous episode, the second one, but you see the guy who's like in charge of like keeping track of everything. It's like, oh, that hyperdrive is sent to go out there. I'm like, yeah, it seems like this whole department is for the Empire. Like you can kind of tell like who's good and who's bad at that point. Like they're not letting them do this stuff. I'm like, oh, it's a lot of these people. So I'm not ruling out anyone. My whole point is I'm not ruling out anyone as a potential Empire rat in the camp. And also besides Mon Mothma.
Right. Yeah. She's a loyal one. Like,
I mean, just from that scene alone, 2 of them could have been rats. It seemed like the lady that was like, a bunch of Imperials are on every level, and then the other guy was like, I just kind of sat out in the war and kind of waited for whatever side to win. And it was kind of like, oh, I don't trust either one of y'all. Like,
no.
The thing is with me, it's like I'm that guy who's like, he seems like the worst person in the room, the most disliked person in the room. I got to give that guy the benefit of the doubt because you know how these movies go. He's going to give like some plot twist, and it's actually the person who's like, oh,
I should do good.
Aren't you sure you're not doing this because of your own vendetta to get Ezra back? It's like, well, then he started that whole argument. It's like, you're just wasting valuable resources. And I'm like,
he's pragmatic.
He's smart. He's smart enough to show all these like problematic, you know, like waste of resources and stuff. Like he could be working for the Empire. I mean, they're smart enough to just reason their way of not giving resources out to people. You feel me?
They were pragmatic.
Just saying, pay attention to everybody.
That's true. So whenever you said hologram scene a minute ago, my brain went to the scene where he was Yang was training Sabine with the hologram fighting.
Yeah, which is sick though. I mean, that's a Jedi.
I like that
Jedi
scene a lot.
training.
Which one felt more prequel-esque, I guess? That one or the hologram around the table?
I think the hologram around the table, but because we didn't really see that in the prequels, but it's obviously what was happening, like with Padawans training like their combat, like their lightsaber combat. So
prior to their slaughter.
Yeah, well, of course.
I think having the droid there is a great gesture to the prequels.
Right. I don't know what it was though. Just with those holograms, like around the table. Something about how the holograms looked. I'm like, okay, this looks like a Jedi Council meeting. Like how those holograms look to me.
Yeah.
It just looked straight like copy and paste, which I dig. That's not a bad thing because of course it's George, and Dave Filoni understands George the most. He is that master to apprentice relationship. So,
as Star Wars fans would see it, yes,
of
course.
Do you think he's taking a George Lucas approach in making of Ahsoka? Does it feel Lucasy, I guess?
Well, yes, but also it's obviously Filoni's main touch. Like Filoni obviously has his own style, but he definitely honors George.
Yeah.
Which I think like from like the sequel trilogy, for example, where it's like I don't really feel much of George in it. Besides, these are characters that we grew up with because of George.
I agree. It's always been George's story. It's been his world, but there are people who adapt to it. There are some people who, I say some people. I'm referring to all the directors and all the people who are behind it now. After the prequels, George was like, people weren't like satisfied with the prequel, so he's like, all right, I'll just give it to someone else, and you guys can see if you agree with other people's visions. Dave Filoni, I mean, he admires George. I mean, they got a good relationship. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows exactly what he envisions, and he's taken it in a really great direction. I feel like they didn't have that at first. They didn't really. I mean, what's her name? Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Charge Star Wars. Yeah. I don't really know what her plan was, but Dave Filoni's saving it.
Well, that's the thing. She didn't have a plan. She's like, let's get it going. Let's make the money.
That's the thing with social media. From what I hear, I don't hear much about Kathleen. I hear a lot about Filoni. Well, and that just shows. But enough talk about them.
She might not have made all the decisions that we like and have appreciated over the years, but a couple of good ones she has done have been like letting Dave be Dave and allowing Dave to like continue George's, I guess, thought process on a lot of these things.
Now, I guess,
and give a little Dave touch,
Yeah. And mainly referring to the sequels, people. But where it's going right now is great with Mando, with Ahsoka, and I want to see Skeleton Crew when that comes out.
Skeleton Crew will be sick.
It was pushed back, I think, because of the writer's strike, but it's okay. We got Ahsoka right now.
And it's supposed to interweave with like Ahsoka, Mando, and everything like that. I'm intrigued as hell on how it's going to, because it seems like it's a group of younglings, right? In a way.
I think it's just like a ragtag group of kids who just like steal like a cruiser. Like they're just friends on a planet. They steal like a cruiser and they just get caught up into like a chase of some sort with like the government, to like the Empire or whoever's in charge. But I think Jude Law's character is a Jedi who I think finds out that some of them are Force sensitive, maybe. So he starts training them or something like that. I believe that's the main idea of that show. But
that's what I'm hoping.
I think the vibe, of course, is to be like a Stranger Things / Goonies-esque type of deal, just in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome concept.
Yeah, I agree.
We were told, or we at least thought, I guess generally, that pirate guy from season 3 of Mandalorian was going to be in Skeleton Crew, and obviously, thankfully, we got spoilers down there, so we can talk how we want to talk. But he's dead. He's not coming back anytime soon. He exploded with the ship. Does that mean you think that you remember the big green guy, the green pirate guy that had like the mossy? He looked
that guy. No, he blew up with the ship.
Yeah, he's dead. He's not coming to Skeleton Crew unless Skeleton Crew's based further in the past.
I think it's in the past. I want to say it's between
It's supposed to catch up to some degree. I just don't know how and when.
Maybe. Again, I don't really know, but I mean, if it's before the events of Mando, then of course you can be in it. Or again, something like that, where it's like a pirate ship-esque like group in space, which could be sick. No matter what, it's like your main bad guys of the film.
Well, there's the Nikto guy that survived and left, and the abandoned ship kind of deal. So maybe he kind of takes over the head of something, and if he's Nikto. If he's Nikto, does that mean we could get some Hondo later on?
That could be, yeah.
Please.
He's still taken. He's still neutral, man. He's never chosen a side. He could be there.
I still hope for. I even retweeted something today whenever I saw it, but I love the episode in Rebels when Hondo tells Ezra, "Just be a pirate Jedi." And I'm like, that's kind of where I'd like him to still be, honestly. Especially now that he's been in space doing his own thing. Just be a pirate Jedi.
Well, that's the big thing. Like, we don't know what we have that hologram that Sabine watches of like Ezra's last message to her. We don't know what Ezra will be like after being in this distant galaxy for like 10 years.
Yeah, or 5 or 6.
About 5 to 10 years after
I think Mandoverse is like 4 years after Return of the Jedi, something like that. And then the whole events of the original trilogy is like 3 to 4 years long. So he's been in another galaxy for a hot minute. So who knows how Ezra is, like what type of force he's been learning out in this distant galaxy, or like if he could be a complete crackhead for all we know.
Like I said, Disney they could potentially ruin any character, so don't rule it out. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I want to wait for what's his name? Morrison. I forgot. He plays Rex.
Yeah.
Rex. Tamora Morrison. I'm waiting for his appearance, and Zeb. We saw Zeb in Andor briefly, and I thought that was freaking awesome.
He was in Mando season 3, huh? He was in Mando season 3.
Sorry, was it Mando? Mando.
Yeah.
It was one of those episodes that felt kind of more Andor-ish, I feel like.
I thought he was in Andor, but Mon Mothma was Andor. I'm trying to think of like all the other shows of how they're like connecting based off of characters interacting.
Right. But I'm pretty sure I don't think Rex is going to be in this.
I'd love for him to, but
I could have sworn. I know Hayden Christensen said some new lines as Anakin Skywalker.
Oh no, Hayden's in this no matter what.
He's in it, but I thought I saw something about Captain Rex.
Well, I mean, you never know. I'm just like, I just don't see where he would fit in. I mean, there's a chance, but who's more likely to see? Let's say we're only going to get one. Who's more likely, Zeb or Rex? Who are we more likely to see in this show?
I would say Zeb. If we're talking about the original like Rebels, I mean Zeb. Rex would come back for Ahsoka, but we've been seeing a lot of Rebels characters come back.
Yeah, like you would expect
Rebels.
He came later, sure. He came later, but we're talking
you would expect a Ghost Crew reunion in this show, right?
Kind of, sort of, but also y'all just saying that it made me think like, how do we get to that point from where we are? Does Hera?
That's where my mind's at. Like,
does Hera like recruit another team and follow suit, kind of deal, or?
It could be a ragtag group where Zeb and Rex are going to try to find Ahsoka. Like maybe they
no support. It looks like they're going up. They got any formula with a TV show or anything. There's got to be a climax and a resolution. I'm saying the climax is they got no like support. They got to go help Ahsoka. They need some help. They're going to get the whole crew together. They're going to find Ezra. They're going to kill Thrawn, and then they're just going to go down.
Something like no chance Thrawn dies in this show.
I shouldn't have said that, but I'm saying like that you can see the structure here. I feel like they're gonna get a crew together. They got no support. They're gonna help Ezra, and Thrawn's or people are going to. There are going to be a lot of forces to stop him. One of them being Thrawn and the Knights of Old Republic. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, I see this reunion. It could either be in the last episode or it's going to be in whatever movie it is. But I see it as like an Avengers Portals-esque scene where like all hope is kind of lost, and you can get like some of the New Republics being led by like Mon Mothma and like I think I don't even, I'm blanking on his name. Fucking, it's a trap. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, Akbar. I don't know why.
He's still alive at this point. So
yeah, he's alive at this point. So I think that'd be sick. Like he's leading a fleet to help against the Thrawn fight. And then you can have Zeb and Rex come together, and like whoever else is out there. You know?
What's his name? The IBS guy. He turned bad, or he turned good. Remember, he was with Zeb on that freaking ice place. I forget what he's called. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking
ISB
about.
guy. I forget what he's called. You know, he's the
the ISB guy. I'm sorry, you said IBS. And I started cracking.
Okay, so they had that beef and they were on the planet. I'd love to see him come back. Him and Zeb come back, and maybe we're talking like Rebels characters. He was a favorite. Callus, yes, Agent Callus.
If we get Callus and Zeb and like Rex all like with Hera trying to go and like save Ahsoka and Sabine after they go off,
that's likely in this show. But no matter what, whenever we get to a movie, the real people to help out will be like when Grogu and Mando come, Luke, Han, and Leia come.
Oh my gosh!
But because they're trying to separate, I guess, to a degree from the sequels, do you think they're going to stay in this other galaxy? So that's going to keep maybe Grogu and like Din find their way out there, but I think that's a way to kind of not use Luke as much. Not have to pay for fake.
I don't see it happening. I think that if it's going to be a movie, they want it to make a lot of money, and of course, I mean, you have Han, Luke, and Leia on screen together again. That's big time. And then, of course, you have Mando and Baby Yoda. Like, that's going to make money. And then for those who love, like, of course, this animated stuff with this show now coming out, that's going to draw in a crowd. So, and with the big bad guy being Thrawn / the Using Vong, like, that's a money maker.
Or I think it's going to be the Gris.
Yeah. I see what you're picking up here.
What's up?
I think it's going to be the Grisk.
Yeah.
They're, I guess, technically the closest thing to in canon Yuuzhan Vong that we have, because they're part of that Thrawn trilogy of novels that Disney, because there's the Disney Thrawn trilogy, then the OG Thrawn trilogy.
Sure. But again, Filoni doesn't really care that much about like the book canon. He cares about what his canon's going to be. So,
and he was going to do Yuuzhan Vong like season 4 or 5 of the Clone Wars. There is like an old, not animatic, but he released like drawings of it a long time ago. Which does that technically make it canon still, or like not? Like, I don't know. I want to know.
Filoni's going to do what Filoni wants to do. It's simple.
Yeah. Just thoughts right here, though. Could Ezra still be on that planet? Do you think he got dropped off, or do you think he went all the way to the other galaxy?
I think he's with Thrawn.
I think he's in the other galaxy. I don't know if they would have the Purgles stopped for gas on the way.
No chance.
Different. Wow. I agree that I don't think they're going to find him this early or even on this planet. But Purgle is like, they're in the right direction. They're in the right place to be.
How cool is just seeing them like in live action and that kind of like.
We already saw them in Mando, but we actually got to see them up close, and the live action of this. It was so cool because like them coming through the fog and you see like how big they are compared to that ship. I was like,
it made my heart smile.
It was so cool.
And they look great. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
They look more whale-like, I guess. And then I did like seeing like their actual tentacles. I guess they always look super whale-like, but they felt like a legit blue whale with an octopus in the back half, flying through the sky.
Well, I bet when they start to get ready to jump to hyperspace, I feel like their bodies are, they'll light up a lot more. I feel like through the smoke and everything, they look a little dark. So I'm like, you know what? It's fantastic now. Let's see what they look like later. Let's see them develop later.
It was like somewhere between ominous and just awe-inspiring, and I liked it.
I liked it.
Big fan. I mean, again, overall, just an enjoyable episode. Again, just I want more.
Look, I like the episode, but something that I noticed about that apprentice who's in that fighter shooting at them.
Shin,
right? Okay, she never blinks.
No, she's got crazy.
I like her. No, I like her determination and everything, but sometimes I'm like, it's okay.
Take a breather, please.
No, I don't know. I like her character. And I like the seriousness of her, but sometimes I'm like, just once for me, for all of us.
Big takeaway from this episode. I think Merrick is going to be a crowd pleasing character, even if he is just some one off character or brand new character. I think he has a sick design. He has an Inquisitor lightsaber, and his voice is sweet. So I think a lot of people are going to dig this guy no matter what.
We talked a little bit about it right before the stream. Yeah. We should talk about that again in a second. Real quick, though, you saw the little ones. I don't see any little Purgle. I kind of want to rewatch it.
I didn't either.
I'm going to look for the little Purgle now.
Definitely rewatching this episode. I didn't feel like I had to rewatch the other two, but I think I might have to watch this one.
Yeah. And that's one of the better things about it being a short episode is that it makes it easy to rewatch. But also, if they're going to eventize the television show by putting it out at 6 p.m. instead of at midnight, I'd kind of want that 50 minutes to an hour long kind of like event TV that they're trying to make it into.
Yeah, definitely need more. But again, when it's all out, it'll be nice just to watch it all the way through.
Damn right. Do y'all think I don't know about this. I like the idea. I don't know if it's that complex.
I agree that the Purgle are intelligent animals, but Ezra has that connection to animals in a sense that they understand each other. He could have said, "Hey, protect them with like protective instincts vibes." I don't know, like through the Force, but it's a little out there. I don't think they were there to protect anyone, and they weren't there bothering the bad guys either. They were just there.
Yeah, they're just there.
They're there. I think. But I mean, intriguing theory.
I do believe Ezra and other Jedi can control animals. I mean, you've seen them do it before, but
right.
He's kind of an expert at it.
Not in this situation.
Yeah, I don't even know if he knows that Sabine and Ahsoka are coming after him at this point. So I don't know how he would send them back there to do that. I think it's like they said in the episode, it's just kind of like that general hyperspace kind of lane. And if the Purgle are naturally just intelligent enough creatures to use these hyperspace lanes on a daily basis, they're just going to the highway. They're getting to work, getting off the 101, something like that. You know,
probably.
So back to Merrick, whatever it is,
different dialects.
I don't think he's Ezra Bridger. We talked about that. There's just no way. Ezra's definitely in the other galaxy. I like the thought process for that theory, but I don't subscribe to it.
No,
the Galen Merrick theory, though, does it hold any validity?
Galen Merrick, he's in
Starkiller,
the apprentice of Darth Vader.
There's references in Andor for sure. I don't know if
his suit's in Andor.
Suits in it. Everyone says his suit's in Andor. I don't know if we'll see him in this, but it would be cool to see Darth Vader's apprentices, kind of, or like Anakin's apprentices, just go off, you know.
Well, that could be the sick moment whenever Ahsoka and Merrick have a conversation. Be like, we were both trained by Anakin Skywalker, but we knew him two different lights.
Yeah.
Well, one's trained by Anakin, the other's trained by Darth Vader.
One's trained in the light side of Anakin, and the other's trained in the dark side by Darth Vader.
Which one will prevail? That's another thing. So that's cool.
I mean, Starkiller, but Ahsoka does have kind of the help of like a little floating celestial around. That's one thing. We're 3 episodes in, and I haven't like zoomed in on any specific frame like while Ahsoka's there, but where the hell is her little Mirai owl? You know, she's literally got the sister. She's supposed to be kind of like that owl on the shoulder, but not really on the shoulder. It's more like in the background, always keeping an eye out for her.
She was there at the end of Rebels, I think, right? Flying. It's possible that they'll just make a reference to her halfway, or I'm guessing at the very end. Well, just at the like a small reference to her at the end, or some theme in the middle. The question is, why isn't she here?
Okay, my brain. I'm making my own theory real quick.
Okay.
All right.
What if? So the maybe it's a good way to get the whole team back together, because Ahsoka and Sabine and Huyang are on the planet themselves. They might not be able to tag on, because most likely if they're getting to the next universe, they probably have to tag on and park up on the hyperspace ring or something like that. If they're not able to, because it looks pretty damn well fortified, and maybe they get stranded, maybe they think the other guys think they're dead on the planet, or maybe they think they're stranded and they just got to get out of Dodge, and they leave Ahsoka and Sabine and Huyang on the planet. What if the way they get to because we've heard the rumors, I guess, that the world between worlds will be used in the show. What if that's how they get to the other galaxy and save a hell of a lot of time? Ahsoka is kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to lead you all through this thing, and kind of takes him like a little like Hobbit, because she's kind of like Gandalf, and Filoni's drawn her like Gandalf and treated her a bit like Gandalf.
Right.
What if that's her leading the Hobbit and the dwarves, or the Fellowship, either one, towards the new galaxy, and they're going on an adventure?
I can see that.
Am I too stoned? Not stoned enough?
Well, no.
Where's my theory?
That's a great question.
No matter what, I see them. They are going to use the world between worlds in some aspect in this show.
So how, right?
Yeah, that's a question. I think for some reason I see it involving whenever Hayden is in the show. I don't know how they'll do that. But it can be like him guiding her, like how to use this world between worlds and how to go to another galaxy through it, or something like that.
A Force Ghost might know a little bit more about that. That might be nice.
Do you think it would be Hayden, though, to have all this knowledge about the worlds between worlds, or wouldn't it be someone like Yoda or?
I don't see why not, because
he was Sidious's.
He's the most Force sensitive being there ever was. He had the most midichlorian count. So by being in this astral plane, he might be able to have a better connection to this side of the Force.
He could, yeah. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just thinking he didn't have quite the training that Yoda and Obi-Wan did to get to where we were. Yoda or Revan?
I don't think Revan, but Yoda makes sense. Yoda knows Ahsoka as well.
Yoda was the Grand Master who was like 500 years old. I mean, you can talk about midichlorian count. Maybe, yes, Anakin has free access just because he's super powerful, but I think Yoda has a good, vast knowledge of the afterlife, and he could just show up whenever, because he's done it in a lot. Like, he's done it in the sequels. He's done it in the Rebels.
He did it in Rebels
He's done it in Rebels too. So most likely, I would like to see Yoda show up again, because it just seems like it makes the most sense. For Hayden to show up, I'm thinking more holograms, backflashes, or
Hayden's definitely a Force.
I would like to see the Force Ghost.
Hayden is definitely having a scene with Ahsoka as a Force Ghost, and they're going to talk about, and that'll lead into potentially a flashback sequence. That I think is no matter what going to happen.
I'd be happy with either. But just to touch on what John said real quick, I'm pretty damn positive we're going to see some world between world stuff. This is the place to do it, and I think well, I'm a little biased with my own theory now, but I feel like that might be an easy way to introduce that and not have it be so timey-wimey and screw up multiverses or anything like that for Star Wars, and that we just kind of like stay on track kind of deal.
Right. I mean,
I do think it's kind of ironic that Star Wars is doing the multiverse kind of thing, or the time travel thing, kind of like Loki. I'm just thinking, what if that was a thing? Because they did a Loki version of Star Wars because you messed up the timeline. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be out of left field, out of nowhere. But
well, I heard this. recently. I don't remember where it was. It was either an article or some podcast or something. But I think the idea is that there is going to be a world between world scene or something like that where we see an alternative timeline, like involving Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I read that, but I think that's where we're going to get into this world.
To see the possible different like outcomes that could have happened.
Like a what if, like Marvel's what if, but not necessarily getting into multiverse territory, but just getting into like, okay, this is what could have happened, but this timeline we are in is what was always meant to happen via a sacred timeline like Marvel.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. We see that we do see some of this at the end of Rebels when Ezra is with Palpatine and he sees his parents. He's like, yeah, just go through it. So they have the power, I guess, or the ancient power to change reality, so to speak. So yeah.
But I think the Force is what corrects this timeline where it's like, this is what is meant to happen. But through the Force, you can see what could have been.
Yeah.
Where like Ahsoka being saved by Ezra being via World Between Worlds, that was always meant to happen.
Yes.
So that's how I see it.
It's a good take.
Yeah, that makes sense. My brain went a little elsewhere. The Eye of Sion, the hyperdrive, the giant hyperdrive thing.
Yes.
Just we're talking about all these crazy Force abilities, all these kind of different things. I know you said you weren't as familiar with Old Republic stuff, Nick, but there is one really cool Old Republic Sith called Darth Sion.
What?
Darth Sion is the name of him. So
I play the game.
Oh, is it Hero
Galaxy? Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. They have all the characters. So look, I know each character. You can. I couldn't tell you anything about Darth Sion or Raven or the HK-47 droid or I have light side Revan and dark side. I have Malik. I have other characters. Bastila Shan.
Uh-huh.
I have her too. Yes, I have her. I have all those characters in the game, but I couldn't tell you their lore.
Well,
go on. What about Sion?
I got a decent bit on most of those, but Sion at the moment, he's pretty damn cool in his own way. He is a Sith that I don't know if he technically ever really died because he was he I guess focused on hatred and just anger so much that he could revive himself after he was killed every time, which made him look more and more grotesque over time. He kind of ended up looking like a zombie dude that would look like charred.
I have him as the zombie dude. He's pretty powerful. I have him with Traya, Darth Traya. With the 3 lightsabers, she's got 3 floating lightsabers. I don't know if you know her.
Oh yeah. Traya. They're great.
Traya. Well, she's Traya in the game.
Okay.
Sure.
She's got different names. When she's good, when she's bad.
Yeah. Darth Nihilius, right?
Yeah, Darth Nihilus.
Nihilus
is sick.
Yeah,
he's cool.
Yeah, his abilities in certain games, he can just take the life force out of other people, and it makes him stronger and stuff. So I was like, he's a really cool character that I have in the game. It's awesome. All these Knights of the Old Republic characters are like no one's ever prepared for in these games because they're just so like OP.
They're insane. Did y'all notice that the gold bridge outline on the Eye of Sion looked like the bridge of a Star Destroyer? Kind of. Yeah. That's kind of like
I can see it.
Part of
never thought of it that way. Was it? I know that George Lucas had the idea for the AT-ATs when he was in San Francisco and he saw those giant walker-looking things that moved those crates. You know what I'm talking about, onto boats. The cranes,
like cranes and stuff.
Yeah, it was like those giant cranes, and he had the ideas for the AT-ATs at the time, or the walkers.
With the giant, like that's literally what the foot looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see it when they're approaching it while scanning. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think it looked a lot like it. It might not be something like you think about immediately, but when you think about it, hell yeah.
Again, rewatch is happening in the near future.
Oh yes. There can be forced dreams. You think that's a way that they're going to do that? I guess there's a way that Ahsoka could have a crazy forced dream. I guess the Bendu. If we saw Bendu somewhere, that would be really cool. Ooh, I heard somewhere. I think it was just someone like just thinking out loud kind of deal. Is the Bendu a celestial?
Oh, we're talking like ancient force wielders, right?
Yeah, because the father, the son, and the daughter were all celestials.
Right.
Bendu kind of being that same.
If that was the technical term for force users,
Well, that was a whole species.
They might be a step under that, but I don't know, actually. But
so
I don't think they're as powerful as like the
define a celestial, just people who are strong with the force wielders.
Well, they were the original force users. That was like the first force using species, and they kind of died out over time. The Rakatan Empire scared them off. The people that made most of the modern society, I guess, of the Star Wars galaxy.
I wouldn't consider Bendu a celestial because he talks about being in between everything, being between the right and wrong. It's almost like the guy on the sidelines, but with the force, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't really choose sides. He's
the observer.
Yeah, he's the observer.
The father was kind of like that, though, right?
The father. I mean, yeah, the father had that good balance, but so did Anakin, right? He's the chosen one having that balance.
It's ultimately the left, the right, the middle, the light, the dark, the gray. Like that's. I see it. They're in the gray area.
If he is an ancient animal, just with the force, I would consider him a celestial.
I mean, it's same with the Purgle, I would say, in a sense.
The Purgle's got hyperdrive capabilities, just on the go. Are they celestials because they got those powers? It's really like, where do you draw the line? I feel like if you could,
just thinking like that. I mean, we know that whales and dolphins and animals of the sort on our planet alone have they have developed language that we do not understand.
Right.
They're super old beings and they're way more complex than I guess we ever give them credit for on a daily basis. Do you think the Purgle are kind of like that? Do you think they're having a lot more intelligent conversations while they're traveling through space at these speeds kind of deal? Like,
okay,
I want to talk to my neighbor while I'm going through space like that,
They probably have a great communication. I mean, they can communicate with Ezra probably amongst themselves a lot easier. I think they are intelligent because they grabbed Thrawn's ship and just sent it out into hyperspace. So I think they could be celestials.
That makes sense. Or like the Celestials' pets or something that have evolved over time, and now they're like...
Yeah. I just think Bendu's powers are on a more biblical level because he just made lightning out of nowhere.
Right.
And started putting Thrawn in his place.
Well, the father, the daughter, and the son stopped time while Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Kenobi were there. So they might... I don't know. We won't ever know, I guess, until they tell us. But they've got to be like at least somewhere in that same degree of power. Maybe one stronger than the other, but what does separate that type of being, I guess, in a Star Wars universe? And are we about to dive into that?
It's also with his language too, because Bendu, he says like, "I am the Bendu between this and that." It's like it's a title too, not just his name, but I don't know. I feel like if he would have said he was a celestial, he would have been like, "I am the Bendu. We have been here. We're ancient. We've come from celestials. Something like that." Little sperm whales are talking to a bro from a distant galaxy.
I mean, but also to go with this, like the Force Ghosts, I mean, they might be more powerful than all of them. I mean, and even though one might be more ancient than the other, by being into like what comes after life, they might have more ultimate, unlimited knowledge by being in this afterlife. Because of course, Obi-Wan always says, "Through death, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine."
Yeah, Obi-Wan.
So, I don't know. That's interesting though. Like there's these Sentinels or Celestials, and then again, we're gonna see Anakin as a Force Ghost guaranteed in this, I believe, and I think that could fill a lot of gaps and like could answer a lot of questions that we're currently discussing.
Yeah.
Because again, we're dealing with a lot of very powerful Force users. Either it's an animal or a human being. So, and of course, we get into the world between worlds. We're going to dive into a whole different aspect of the Force. And then, of course, watching someone like Sabine, who is completely not that powerful in the Force, being able to reach it and use it. So I think the show is going to show a lot of different degrees of how the Force is used, from least powerful to most powerful. So I'm intrigued by that aspect, and I think we'll see that.
What episode do y'all think Sabine will have access to the Force in?
Episode 5.
5? I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. I do think that the idea that the Force resides in everyone is a great idea, but the fact that you don't pick it up until your Ezra's gone and you've been around all these Force sensitive people for a while, it's so hard to believe that some abilities stay dormant. I feel like Sabine's kind of reference to Finn in the sequels, because they were going to hint it in the last movie that he was Force sensitive, but they never did. They said, "Hey, I got to tell you something. I'll tell you later." I thought that was so stupid. Like, why are you going to just take time, have some dialogue between them, and not reveal something right then and there? It's the last movie of this trilogy. And
Ray!
For some reason, Ray. Yes, just Ray screaming Ray. Oh my God.
Yeah, they ruined a potential remarkable character with them.
Coming into Ahsoka like this and seeing Sabine, I'm just like, I really hope they don't do her dirty like they did Finn. That's my only thought. That's my only thought process. I really hope Sabine does great as a Jedi, or she becomes a trained Jedi.
I mean, I don't know if she's ever going to be like. I think episode 5 is probably a damn good guess, but I almost want to say if it doesn't happen by episode 5, it's either going to happen episode 7 or not at all this season, which I would kind of like it not to happen this season, honestly. It gives her more development over time. Obviously, if we get a second season, fingers crossed, of course.
Who knows?
Because it would hurt if this one didn't get a second season, honestly. But we all hope.
But guys, I'm not gonna lie, I have to head out here. But had a blast.
It's fun, man.
Shit as always. Always love talking.
It was nice chatting. I love talking Star Wars.
Yeah. So. Overall, great episode, in my opinion. Again, just too short. But so I can tell in our next discussion, we're gonna see the backlash of this. But I think overall, it's an enjoyable.
I can't wait. I can't wait for next week to come. Or you have a good one.
Peace, guys.
See you, man.
Yeah. See you, brother.
I just can't wait for the next episodes to come out, and then all of our theories are wrong. You know what I'm saying?
We just think about it so hard, so much, and then it's just completely the opposite.
That's how it is. Sometimes people like post videos and stuff. I like doing live streams like this just to like chat for a bit. Just because I don't want to be like, hey, I don't want to post like a 30-second video about like how I felt about it and be like, hey, I think this is what's going to happen. And then I could be wrong. Now people have that footage forever that
It's like live streams are nice for the context. We can kind of like
it's for the people who are enjoying the episodes in the moment, and you can discuss what's going to happen next, and there's no repercussions. It's all just like appreciation of Star Wars. So here for it. Fun. I do have to get going too, my friend, but it was lovely chatting. I would love to come back next time and talk more Ahsoka. Anything Star Wars, man, hit me up. I'll join.
Come on, you're always welcome. We always got plenty to freaking talk about, and the more little gizmos and gadgets I have to put up on screen while we're talking, I shall.
What is this going on, by the way? Is it going on YouTube?
Yeah, this is live on YouTube at the moment. This is just on MCubed, my channel.
So this is how you stream it from YouTube or onto YouTube?
Yeah.
Got it.
I used to use OBS more, but I'm not that tech savvy, and when
I have Streamlabs.
Okay,
yeah, same thing, ish.
Yeah. I mainly use it for Twitch, and I figured out how to stream TikTok on it now, so I can go on TikTok and start gaming.
Yeah. Well, real quick. I mean, obviously we ain't to your level of anything, but we're kicking. Y'all go subscribe to Nick on everything. Just tell people your socials and stuff.
So my username is Nick at Night, but the eyes are ones. You know, like the Nickelodeon show Nick at Night, spelled the same way except the eyes are ones. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, or Snapchat. Did I say Snapchat? All of it, just everything. It's all the same username. I try and make it super easy for people, but I really hope to see you guys next time on this. It's really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've got a damn good community. We're small over here. Sidetrack's a little bigger. That sci-fi stuff that I do, the other one, they're definitely a hell of a lot bigger. But it's a tight-knit community. They follow. So expect some fun, crazy people from all over the world talking to you soon. Because that's one good thing. We're an international audience, which is cool. But yeah, we'll roll this intro/outro and call it a day.
Let's do it.
Yes, sir. All right.